And we're back. Dr. Jacques Spitri from Soho MD, here at the Bullpen at the JP Morgan Healthcare Conference. I'm here with Deep Chakrabortty from BCN BioSciences.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. Great to
Nice
have
to
you
meet
here. Can you tell us your journey to here, to this point?
Well, I have a chemistry background. Went to George Washington University, went to grad school at UCLA, and diverted a little bit from the base, went on the investment side of things, investment banking and consulting, working for pharma and biotech and life sciences, so on. But came back when I met up with old grad school friend Andrew Norris. He's a professor at UCLA, a faculty. And we started the company with the second pivot of the platform technology that they were working on at UCLA.
Okay.
We licensed that and created a company, and that's BCN BioSciences.
Wow.
We're a small molecule company. We're targeting hard to treat, but precision targeting of a particular mutation in cancer. So that's RAS. And we have a completely novel target, novel mechanism of targeting RAS. We are not targeting the RAS protein itself, like many of the other companies which are doing. But we target the restoration of a protein called P10, which is very necessary to bring back cancer cell death for the cancer cells for apoptosis.
Okay. It helps to promote the cancer cell death? It helps promote apoptosis in the cancer cells?
In the cancers, in the specific RAS phenotype. In
I
fact,
see.
our drugs work in the entire RAS-RAP-MEK-ARC pathway. So if you're aware of that, RAS mutations is present in almost 30% of all human cancers. One of the isoform KRAS is very important, almost quarter of all cancers. So for example, 90% of pancreatic, 30% of lung, 50% of colorectal, that's all implicated with RAS. And it was an undruggable target for 30 years till Dr. Shokhat at UCSF showed how to target the protein itself. So we're off the races. Amgen's Lumakras was the first approved drug, so is Mirati's Krazati. But one of the things that we're seeing is because it has so much isoforms, for KRAS, if you shut down KRAS, the oncogenesis comes back in the cell through H and N isoforms, and that's where the drug resistance comes from. And because our mechanism of action is downstream of that,
I see.
we restore P10, our drugs show no resistance. In fact, it's all preclinical, but we show in mouse models that if you're pre-treated with those drugs, Amgen's drug and Mirati's drug, and you develop resistance, our drugs can kill those cancer cells.
That's amazing.
Yep.
So that's going to really make a huge change in how people perceive their ability to treat these cancers in the future.
We hope so, because one of the things it's so interesting about this is originally this was heavily funded by NIH within UCLA, because they were looking for small molecules that protect normal cells from chemo and radiation. So that's the genesis. So the entire platform, we have over 100 molecules. We licensed them from UCLA, and then we created our own under composition of matter patent. But we started from there, and the way it worked was we were looking for, so we have two classes of molecule. One class is still the protectants, right? So we're looking to make supportive care drugs for cancer. And then, of course, one of the things that we tested on was, do these small molecules protect cancer cells? So when we had a collaboration with NCI, and we had a project, and we figured out there's some optimized molecules not only not protect the cancer, it actually kill cancer.
Wow.
And so that was the genesis when we went back to the lab and say, okay, what's going on? What's the mechanism of action? How does it work, and why is that happening? And so that way we figured that the commonality of all those cancers were they are RAS cancers. And there's a very specific way P10 is suppressed in all RAS cancers. And if we could target that and we could reverse that, we can kill the cancer cells.
That's pretty amazing. And so in the work that you did before, so you'd gone to grad school, you're working in the finance side. What were the things that you saw over those years in finance that, when you saw companies succeeding more than others, were there any key factors that stood out to you in terms of, why particular companies were more successful than others?
Well, oncology has been new to me in the last, I would say, 7-8 years. But what I saw was, if you think of the early 2000s and so on, it was, sort of like the dawn of the biologics, right? So the industry was slowly moving out of small molecule and natural products and into biologics, and, Amgen, Genentech, and, Biogen, they were huge, right? So rational drug discovery took in place where you know the target, you can design proteins, you can design antibodies, and so on. But the change in pace of technologies since 2010 has been already mind-boggling. But through the last few years, it's even more so, especially with the success of mRNA technology, cell and gene therapy, and really the funding environment was such that it goes in ebbs and flows. So it's, small molecules, sort of like the utility stocks of the stock market. It's sort of like recession-proof, but when there is some kind of hype, you'll go into immunotherapy, you go to gene therapy, and so on. The main thing that happened is more and more entrepreneurs that looked at a smaller, I think, set of patient population and trying to help them and really focus the drugs more of precision therapy for that. And FDA took note of that. They changed some of the things in the approval process and so on. And that, in fact, accelerated the whole process. So funding is going through cycles. I'm sure we'll come out of this, hopefully towards the second quarter or third quarter of Q4 2024. But I've seen like 3 cycles from the funding side since 2000 that it will go up and down. So just have to hunker down through this thing.
Absolutely. And in terms of your experience, how have you set up BCN for success, BCN Biotherapeutics?
Well, one of the things that we did was, we have been pretty capital efficient, but one of the things we are very good at is working with the governmental entities. So a lot of people who didn't know how to get grant funding, we have raised tens of millions of dollars of non-dilutable funding because of the nature of what the platform was. And so that actually was the foundation of success. And what we did was we created this sponsored research agreement at UCLA and Kansas University and NCI that really accelerated the science with less amount of dollars. Well, you share some IP, but then you license it back with the first right of refusal. And then it enables us to create the right environment to get the talent. And the main important thing is if you put someone in the board of advisors, do they attract talent? And that has been my most important job in getting some of the KOLs on the advising side and as consulting scientists to attract other people from industry and from academia who are willing to help because we are a novel target. And you kind of need all that support to industry to accept it. Like this is a valid target in oncology to go after.
That's amazing. And then as far as this year, what excites you the most? What are you focusing on?
So right now, the brand new data that we got, and we just released our target for the first time. I've been talking to some of the pharma people. They're really excited. So we want to accelerate the pace of our preclinical development. I think we are about 6 months from where we can start our IND-enabling studies, and also kind of creating the other molecules in a way that we are not a one-hit wonder. It's a whole portfolio of molecules. You have 2 classes of drugs.
Nice.
So essentially raising money. But so far, it's been mixed, in the last 6 months. And hopefully we'll close that round in the next 3 to 4 months and accelerate towards the IND enabling.
Awesome. And then in terms of the bullpen and the community, what's your ask?
Well, originally we were raising $10 million, but we have kind of moderated. Now we're going for $5 million. One of the most interesting thing is, when I first met Savills and Christian, there's a lot of energy, and they are focusing on a void right now. Even in VCs, if you go with a cold email or you talk to someone, it's not as important as another founder introducing you to the VCs, and they always take that. So there's a lot of cross-pollination going on in this forum. And 5 minutes ago, I met someone who, she has a pain drug, and she met a family office in Dallas who is more focused on oncology.
Wow.
So they didn't fund her, but she passed on the information to me, and hopefully that'll work out. So when the funding climate is so dry, those alternatives like family offices, foundations, corporate VCs, and if the founders can exchange notes on that, that would be wonderful. And I think this platform has a lot to offer from that regard.
That's amazing. So Deep Chakrabortty at BCN Biosciences, thank you for being here.